Welcome to our teaching demonstration of Dr. Christine Harrington's new book, Student Success in College, Doing What Works.
Using prediction again, you can ask students to guess the results of a research finding. This time, instead of providing them with the information, you can ask them to go and find the answer to the research question by giving them the actual article and having them work in groups to find out whether the answer that they anticipated was correct or not. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at test-taking behaviors. And what we have here is a study by McLean who looked at what test-taking behaviors made a difference, if any, and distinguished between A, C, and F students. So there were several behaviors that they looked at. One of the behaviors was, did they look at and read all of the alternatives? So you know in a multiple choice test you usually have 4 answer options. How often were students reading all the options? The other one was anticipation of answer. Were they guessing the answer before actually looking at the answers? So kind of doing a prediction without looking at it. Did they eliminate or cross off choices that were obviously wrong or incorrect? Did they skip difficult questions? These are the behaviors they were interested in. So before we dive into the article itself, I want to just have a brief opportunity for you to work in your groups to talk about whether you think one of these, 2 of these, 3 of these, 4 of these, or all of these were found to be connected to good academic outcomes. So take a minute or 2 in your groups to take a guess at what you think the results are going to be. And make sure you have a rationale for why.
Yeah, because if you go with the first name posse, there might be a better one. I see that, right? It's on there.
I would have guessed, skip question. Never seen it.
But sometimes, like, I found like, accept, and I didn't read that word. That's what
All right, let's come back together as a large group, please. All right, so let's hear some of your ideas and thoughts about how this research study turned out. What do you think? What's your prediction? Vanessa?
all of the above.
How come? Give me an example or a reason for why one of them at least.
Especially with the reading all of the answers.
Okay.
Because a lot of times you'll, when you're looking at a test, you're nervous, you're not, sometimes, especially, if you're not confident, you're not thinking as clearly. So if you take your time and read the question thoroughly and then read all of the answers, eliminate the ones that are not fitting into that, and then because multiple choice, you want the best answer, not.
Ah, right. So if you don't read all the choices, you may come across a pretty good answer, but not the best answer, right? So, and then you always have those others that it might be B and C, or other things like that. So, all right, good. Anyone else want to add something? Candace?
I know if I'm well prepared for a test, I can kind of anticipate the answer. Almost know it before you even look at the choices.
Okay, great. So obviously test preparation is going to be much more powerful than actual strategies that you use during the test itself. But anticipating answers can be pretty effective, because that really helps you stay on track and on target. Abby?
I'd like to add that sometimes, there's a question, you don't really know the answer, you don't have any idea. There's no point in wasting your time with it, which will make you very anxious about it. So maybe you can skip it and mark and go back to the ones that are a bit easier. And then when you have enough time, you can come back to it, take your time, relax, and then choose the best answer.
So what Abby's really talking about is an anxiety management tool, skipping the difficult questions, right? Because if you focus on the difficult ones, I don't know about you, but when I'm taking a test and I don't know something, my anxiety starts creeping up, right? So in order to bring it back down, you got to go find one that you do know. There's got to be one in there somewhere, right? So you go find the one that you do know and go after that. So it can be a pretty powerful anxiety management tool during the test. Very good. All right, what I want you to do now is I'm going to break you up by your group into different sections. So you all know that there's different purposes to the different parts of an article. I'm going to have this group over here. You folks are going to look at the introduction. And I'm going to show you the zooming in on the research questions that we've looked at in the past, and you're basically going to have to answer the question. So what was the question that they were seeking an answer to is what you'll need to do as the introduction group. You folks will do the method section. So basically you're going to do the who and how. So who participated and what did they have to do? So how was the study conducted? And I'll have you folks over here do the results. What did they find out? Now remember, when we're talking about that, we want to zoom in on the main research question, because they'll give us all kinds of results, about demographic information, and some of that can be very meaningful, but we want to make sure we're also targeting in on the research question, what the answer is to that question. That's your primary focus. And then you folks over here will be in charge of the discussion part of the article, which basically, again, piggybacks off of the results, but you're going to take it a little bit farther. And so what? So what is the value or the meaning of this, and how can we use the results? You'll need to go a little bit above and beyond what's actually in the article, because I want you to stretch a little bit with your thinking. So, all right, you guys can go ahead and dive into your sections, and I'll come around and check in on you to see how you're doing.
I'm looking for the research.
So you basically want to know, you're looking at differences between A, C, and S students. So actually, you know what we're going to do? Hey, Deanna, would you come over? They want to know what the question is, so they can do the results a little bit easier.
The question was, during the test, do students, A, C, and F students, how they take the test?
So are there any differences between that? So that's what you want to know. So, I mean, you're quick and dirty, and it's either yes or no, and then it tells more specifically. So the results, this is the most challenging section of the whole article. You're up to the challenge, I'm sure. So the results of the discussion are a little mixed and merged in this particular study, but basically you're looking to try to find the answer to that, and you'll want to take a look at the chart also. Okay, so I'll come back around in a few minutes and see what you
Time and get all the options, get what you
All right, it looks like most of you are wrapping up, so let's go ahead and come back together as a large group.
Sounds awesome.
Let's get back to the right spot. Okay, so let's start off with the introduction. So what was the research question? That's really the main part that we want to focus on in the introduction. What did they want to know?
During the test, are there any differences between A, C, and F students on how they took the test?
Okay, so during the test, are there any differences between A, C, and F students on how they took the test? So this is not about study preparation. This is about actual activities that are happening during the test, right? Okay, great. Let's take a look. So, yeah, there we go. There's the research question. I think it matches pretty closely to what you had said. And now let's take a look at the method group. So what did you folks come up with?
Well, 60 students were tested.
Okay, so there were 60. So the who is 60? Were they college students, second graders? What are we talking about
College
here?
introductory psychology students.
Okay, so we have college students who are taking an introductory psychology course. Now, why is it important for us to know that? Why do we care if it's a college student? What if it was second graders? It would make a big difference. Why?
The second graders don't know about psychology.
Well, but maybe they're not going to use a psychology test, though. Maybe they would use a second grade test. Would that matter?
Well, it wouldn't be relevant to the question.
Ah, may not be relevant to you as a college student then, right? So that's why we need to know who. And what works for a second grader may not be the same strategy that works for a college student. I'm guessing, right? Okay. So keep going, sorry.
No, they were told to see the test performance between A, C, and F students, how they take the test. They were told to read each and every choices, and they were given a 70-question multiple choice exam.
Okay, so what I'm hearing Shateli tell me is that they had groups of A, C, and F students, and I think you said that they were based on prior performance on the class. It was towards the end of the semester that this study took place. So they were either an AC or F student at that point in the semester. And then I heard you say something about them actually having to say out loud, so they were tape recorded.
They were actually told to read out the question before answering, and they were also told how to read each and every choices, not all the 4 choices that were given in a multiple choice.
Okay, so what the researchers asked the students to do was while they were taking the test, they had to actually talk their thoughts, right? So as they were taking the test, they had to say everything so they could then make judgments about it and see whether there were any differences. Okay, so the results. Oh, wait, before you begin. Now, the results section, I think I mentioned this to you before. There's a lot of stuff in there, right? This is the most challenging part of the article. And they often start off with some demographic data about like who the people were, like so how many were, freshman students versus sophomore students, how many men, how many women, those kinds of data might be in there, right? And that's interesting and important for us to know because it helps with the generalizability of the findings. However, we don't want to get lost when you're looking at the results. You want to make sure you're focused on the research question. So one more time, the research question.
During the test, are there any differences between AC and F students on how they take the test?
Okay, so what's the answer to that question?
Yes.
Yes! Okay, yes there are! Now, I hope you're going to tell us more, right? So tell us some more. Go for it, Kristen.
They said that the A students, they read all of the answer choices before picking one, where the C and F students, if they found that the first or second one seemed, okay, that seems correct, they just circled it and that was the end of it. They didn't really read through them all.
Okay.
The A students skipped all of the hard ones and went back to it, where C and F students kind of wasted their time and just, sat there and struggled with the hard ones.
Mm-hmm.
They also found that A students anticipated the correct answers before reading any of the choices, which helped them, see if they were really right. They also eliminated wrong answers like right off the bat. Like some of them sound ridiculous, and you could just cross them right out. And that was most of them. They were predicted in the beginning. They all came out. They all did. A students.
All right, thank you very much. And last but not least, the so what factor or the discussion.
Oh, so you should do what the A students do, read all the questions.
That's right, I think I heard you before. We don't want to be A students, so let's do what they do, right? Okay.
The poor students need to follow the strategies of the A students and make sure that they skip the questions and that they anticipate some of the answers and that they cover all the answers that are given and make sure that they didn't miss something.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And there was also they said the A students were better able to verbalize their thoughts than the lower graded students. And so maybe there's some other difficulty there. So maybe that's another thing that they could look into.
Ah, okay, so now we're really starting to critically look at the results, right? So yes, the results were A students did do things different than the C and the F students. So by all means, we want to try those strategies out, right? They're working for the A students. We should all jump on board and use them. However, maybe there's something else going on. If the A students were more easily able to say their thoughts, maybe it's connected to something like Candace said before, about being prepared, right? We don't know whether it's because the A students were more prepared that they were better able to use all of these strategies or not. Although anyone, whether you're prepared or not, could read all the answer choices, right? So I don't think it fully explains it, but I think it's important that we take a look at that and critically look at their findings and see what their value and meaning is. So, all right, well, excellent job really taking a look at this article. I know it's challenging work, but if you kind of keep focused on what you're trying to accomplish in each section, hopefully you can find it to be manageable. Thanks.
For more information on student success in college, please log on to our website at www.cengage.com/community/Harrington. If you would like to receive a review copy or to purchase the book, please click on the book cover, which will direct you to the product overview page. From here, you're just a click away from requesting a copy, or purchase a copy directly at cengagebrain.com.